Well, as I always say, Mondays are the most boring days starting the week. But however, I intend to keep your Mondays fun and free. So today it's going to be a little different. As you all know, I'm going to be reviewing the entirety of the last three shows from Yoshi Promotion Evolution. So if you guys are not familiarized with that, I'll explain a little bit about them. So we'll get to that in a bit. So we have, of course, 3 days of them. The first one is back on October 12th for Volume 24th. And I don't remember what really happened, but there was a lot of good matches. And of course, there's the October 23rd, where features the main event. Of course, the Ladies of Evolution take on two talents from Stardom. And then there's Volume 26 that took place on the 3rd of November. That one features a bit of a rematch between both Chi Chi and Zones. As you know, last time I did not review this, but Zones was the one who walked out as the victor in the first year anniversary. But the real question is, does lightning strikes? We'll just have to wait and see. And then, of course, we cap up our episode with a very news updates, of course, on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside, I believe it's time to get this show on the road. So, as I said before, the entire episode is reviewing three shows from Evolution, the Yoshi promotion, that dates back all the way from October. Now, as you know, we're in November. I decided, what the hell, let's get it done anyway. So this is my show. I can do whatever the heck I want. But you guys probably will enjoy it. So for right now, let's begin with our very first one, and this one is Volume 24. Okay, before we proceed, I want to be honest with everybody. It's been a while since I reviewed any of these shows. I did the last time with a special episode, but now we can put it on this one, on the actual review. So, Evolutions, as you know, things have changed since the last time I saw it. Sunny, who was one of the third original girls, as many of you know, she is no longer wrestling, but however, due to the situation because of her injury, she decided to stay as an employee and works now as a referee. You may see her; she's wearing a orange um, referee shirt. which matches her color scheme when she was a wrestler. No problem with that. But they did gain two new girls after that. Miyuna, who goes around using the Spice Girls song, "If You Want to Be My Lover." Yeah, you know which one is that one. And then, of course, Soy. But I like how they have evolved. And, of course, there have been some wrestlers that made regular appearances. But we'll get to all of that. But right now, let's begin with Volume 29th. This one took place on the 12th of October in Shinkiba. Also, want to point out that all their shows they do is in Shinkiba. They don't do it in other places because they've been around lesser than maybe almost a year or year and a half or so. So we'll get to all of it. Our first match, we have of course Miyuna taking on Riara. Many of you know her. She was originally with Gambare Pro, but as soon as they went, independent away from the Cyber Fight uh, corporation, Riara and of course her BFF Yoshiko went into freelancing, and of course now we all know where Yoshiko is. She's currently as a regular in Tokyo Pro. As Ferrara, she remained as a freelancer, so she makes her presence known. But it was no secret to me how this match was going to end because Riara does have a bit of a more wrestling, a bit of a better experience than Miyumi. Nothing to take away from her since she's brand new. But Riara was able to pick up the win when she applied the double foot stomp, and just like that, it was over. Our next match, we have a bit of a intergender match. We have Momoka Hanazono taking on Black Men Sareee. And also, the best part is Sunny was refereeing this match. I thought it was interesting because I thought it was the most funnest match I've ever watched because many of you know Momoka Hanazono is a terror in the ring. Now, I'm not saying that she's bad or anything. No, she likes to play like fun tricks, play games and all that. That's what makes her a terror. I mean, if you're not a fan of Momoka Hanazono, then you guys are not really on the DWZ or Joshi Wrestling bus like me. So anyway, there was a moment, of course, Black Mensuri made her cry, and then he made Sunny cry. People were like booing, and then he decided to cry, and then oops, sorry, he got his ass whooped by both Sunny and Momoka. So they try to deal with him. But what makes it funny is that later Momoka got away with it by not allowing Sunny to see what she did. Apparently, Momoka kicked him in the gonads and then used the little bubble wand maker and whack him, and just like that, he knocked him out unconscious, and just like that, won the match. And Sunny did not see a damn thing. So worked in Momoka Hanazono's favor. So she know. I mean, I wouldn't technically call her a heel. I just call her she's an opportunist. That's what I would think. But that's pretty much it. How it turns out. Now, our next match, we have an intergender tag match. We have Yuna Manaze teaming up with Takoi Omori. They take on Aki Shizuku, and of course the boss of Evolutions and the general manager Shuji Ishikawa. As you know, she also played mentor with many of the Evolution girls. Pretty good match, not gonna lie. I mean, yeah, we do see men fight the girls fight the men, which is no problem at all. But it was, of course, Omori that applied a big lariat on Shizuki, and just like that, it was over. Now, our next match, we have Soy versus Chi Chi. Now, everybody knows that Chi Chi has been a very prospect wrestler since she first started. A lot of people had high hopes. Now, I don't know what Chi Chi was doing. She was using like a bit of a rope, and Sunny was trying to tell her to stop doing that. Well, of course, Chi Chi didn't care. I mean, I'm sure she's been feeling bitter ever since she lost the how to say. I know she's been frustrated in various like occasions, like losing to the New Blood the first time, and then of course losing to Zones on the first year anniversary, but that didn't excuse her at all. But however, she was able to put Soy in a submission move, and just like that, it was over. Our main event, we have Chanyota taking on her muscle sister tag partner, Zones. Now, yes, whenever Zones wrestles in PPP Tokyo, when she teams up with Chanyota, they're known as the Muscle Sisters. A pretty good team, not gonna lie about that. But now it's the difference. Now remember, Janyota has a bit of a more experience in zones. We have to keep that into a factor. But we cannot deny that both these ladies are powerhouses, which is very common. So basically, who was gonna walk out? But it was Janyota who did like a somewhat of a sliding lariat and then and converted it into a pinfall, allowing her to pick up the win against Zones. Now I don't know what she said in the post match promo, but I'm sure that their friendship will continue to flourish. So, which is good for both these ladies. I mean, they're almost similar in some ways, but nonetheless, it was a pretty good show. So I think we're done with volume 29. So, no, 24. Let's move on to volume 25th. Okay, as we continue with more with evolutions, we have volume 25th. This also took place in Shikiba on October 25th, just to let you guys know. Now, our very first match, we have Miyuna. She takes on the Terror, Momoko Hanazono. So yeah, same old thing, same with Hanazono with her usual tricks and all that. Nothing too exciting like we saw with her with Black Men Sareee, but it was okay. But she was able to walk away with the win with a double foot stomp, which nothing too fancy, but nonetheless, it was a win. Now, this next match, this one was a very interesting one. We have Soy taking on Aki Shizuku. Now, nothing too fancy on this one, but what makes it more interesting for me about this match um, is that Shizuku, at near the end of this entire match, she was hoping that Soy will just lose by a 10 count. Now, if you guys don't know what I'm referring to, um, let me explain. But those who do know, thank you for being on the bus with me. Anyway, um, those who know when someone is not kind of knocked down, then if they don't get up after the count of 10, it's over. Shizuku had to do this at least twice, and you probably ask yourselves, what the hell was Shizuku doing while this was happening? Easy. She was on the corner lifting her leg like, come on, just get it over with. Just like that. Just chilling in the corner. It only took 2 tries for her to do that. And that's exactly how she won. She didn't do anything too fancy. She just let the 10 count run. So that's how she is. I don't know. I don't know much about her, but I do know she has wrestled for a long time. She's been freelancing for who knows how long, but I don't know much about her. But we'll see. So let's move on to our next match. Now, our next match is a men's exhibition match. We have Takumi Saito taking on Dan Tamura. Many of you may know him from All Japan Pro Wrestling, so it's no secret that Evolutions and All Japan did had a bit of a relationship until they had a little falling out recently. So yeah, nothing too significant about this match, but this match ended in favor of Dan Tamura when he applied a power bomb, even though he's a junior heavyweight competitor, but he's not a high flyer in case anybody asks. He uses like technical aspects, and power bomb is one of those things. But it worked out in his favor by pinning him with the power bomb, and just like that, it was over. Our next match, this is a bit of a very interesting revenge plot or rivalry, as you want to call it. Stardom's very own Aya Sakura from Cosmic Angels. She teams up with Hanako from EXV. Now, remember, these two ladies debuted around the same time. They were part of that same batch, along with Komomo Minami, who never debuted. But they do have a strong presence, and they take on, of course, Chi Chi and Zones, who are two of the originals. Now, Chi Chi does declared war against Stardom. Uh, Reason is this: she hasn't forgotten the loss that she had against Miyu Amasaki, so she feels Stardom will pay for that loss. And now they're facing against two of the talents who seem to have more better experience than Chi Chi has. And they have great cohesion because remember, before Hanako went in to become a tag team with, join EXV, Hanako and Ayasakura do have a good, they started out as a good friendship, and now that they're in separate teams. So that kind of plays out pretty well in some ways. But in this case, this match ended in favor for Sakura and and Hanako when, of course, Hanako applied the JP coaster on Chi-Chi. So as you know, the rivalry between these between Stardom and Evolution start to begin only with the rookie types, not the veterans. So basically, that's always been the case. I don't know what they said in the promo, but I'm sure Chi-Chi took great pleasure in seeing Aya Sakura losing to her at the Umaja tournament, which of course I reviewed recently. But we will see. But I did review, of course, both Chi Chi and Zones did make their presence known in Stardom. So we could see a rivalry between Chi Chi and Aya Sakura either in Evolutions or Stardoms. It doesn't make no dang difference where. But nonetheless, we'll see where that goes. But for now, I think we are done with volume 25th. Let's move on with volume 26. Okay, we continue with more of Evolution with volume 26, also in Shinkiba. This took place recently on November 3rd. Now, our first match, we have Miyuna taking on Ram Kaicho. Of course, this was going to be a very interesting matchup because you all know Ram Kaicho. She likes to use the ectoplasma, to blind their victims. But fortunately, that did not happen. I mean, I was a bit of surprise. I mean, it would have been a much simpler way for her to do that. But nope, she didn't do that. She instead used a lariat, which is very unusual, but it was effective. You know, so she picked up the win in that type of fashion. Our next match, we have Aki Shizuku taking on Ryo Mizunami. Now, this was nothing compared like the last one I reviewed, okay, guys? Now, Ryo Mizunami, she is a very strong powerhouse. Now, I may have looked at Aki Shizuku. She's a bit of a more of a striking type of wrestler, but when it comes to powerhouse, that's like bringing a knife into a sword fight. But it was, of course, Ryo Mizunami with the infamous guillotine leg drop that sealed the deal for her to pick up the win. Now, our next match, we have our only men's exhibition match. We have Soma Watanabe, who you may know from the promotion GLEAT. He faces against the boss and general manager of Evolutions, Shuji Ishikawa. So it kind of fits it out pretty well. But however, when it comes to Soma, we know there's a lot of high hopes with him because of his talent. And those who know this or not, he's a big fan of Kota Ibushi. He's like the Kota Ibushi of GLEAT, if anybody noticed the way he dresses. But it was Shujikawa with a somewhat of a razor edge sit down razor edge or a splash mountain, whatever that he used to seal the deal for him. And just like that, it was over. Now, our next match, we have Soy versus, of course, the Terror once again, Momoka Hanazono. So, yes, I keep calling her that because I think she is a Terror and I think she's a fun wrestler to enjoy. Of course, she does her usual thing and tricks and all that. That's always using the bubble machine. But of course, Soy, she is doing like a bit of a powerhouse type. Nothing compared like what Zones did. But however, it does play out pretty well. But the unusual thing is Momokana Zono did a very interesting conventional way to win, and that is a chokehold. I don't know if she's ever done it before. I don't know if that's been effective for her to win. I mean, last time in volume 26, she used her little bubble wand to whack what's his name, Blackman Sareee, and then she applied a double foot stump on Miyuna, and just like that. But this time a chokehold was effective. But nonetheless, it was a win for her, so that plays out pretty well. Now our main event, this is a bit of a rematch from the first year anniversary with, of course, with Evolution's Chi-Chi versus Zones. Now, let me give you guys a little backstory about these two. These two were part of the original three wrestlers along with Sunny. Now, as I said before, Sunny is no longer wrestling due to injury, but she stayed working as a part of the staff, but also a referee with the promotion. And Chi Chi Zones were the last two originals to be there until Soy, and then later Miyuna first joined. And it played out pretty well for them. However, Chi Chi has been many people saying she's a prospect wrestler. People have been speaking highly of her. Even Sareee has been speaking highly of her since they first met. Chi at first did not take kindly of Sareee, but she took her friendship with her very seriously. Not to mention inviting her to the Sareeism shows. That's always plays out. But when it comes to zones, zones have already developed friendships with every wrestler, such as, of course, Hiroyo Matsumoto, Chanyota, appearing in very others. But however, in their first year anniversary, these two had to face off each other because they were part of the original batch. But the real question who was going to walk out, I'm sure many of you who knew this or not, some of you might have thought Chi in fact, was going to walk out as the winner. Nope, it was Zones. But I can tell that Chi was a bit bitter about it, knowing that it should have been her because people have spoke highly of her, and it's understandable. And now that this match is a bit of a rematch to, how to say, the wrong that should have been fixed in the first place. And Chi has, grown significantly. I mean, becoming the Sendai Girls um, Junior World Champion, winning Umaja, the Umujaja tournament, all of that. So she's been making headways. But now she's facing Zone, someone who she lost to. But Chi has learned a lot from the best, especially when it came to Sareee. She uses the move known as Uranagi to pick up the win. And I thought it was a fair way to win. And of course, Chi finally picked up the win. So right now, both Zones and Chi are 1-1. So I don't know if there'll be another part 3 between these two. But it felt effective. And of course, there was the promo that happened after the post match. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I know there's another Evolution show coming up real soon. But this is pretty much it what we have for all of it. So we've done all the Evolution shows. So let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin with upcoming events. We have GCW updates for all of you. As you know, we have the Bloodsport event happening on the 24th of November in Jersey City. They just announced that NXT star Miles Bourne will be participating. His first opponent is none other than Royce Isaacs. So that's going to be a banger of a match. And then, of course, we have the Mastermind taking place on the 7th of December in Atlanta. The GCW World title will be defended. Mance Warner defends the belt against Tank. Now for some MLW updates as well. On the 5th of December in New York City, we have the Death Samurai Akira taking on the King, or should I say, Murder Grandpa Minoru Suzuki. And then, of course, on January 11th of 2025, we have Kings of the Coliseum, the man, the myth, the legend, Blue Panther will be making his appearance. And then, of course, we have the Ladies Night Out 14 taking place on the 1st of December of this year. We have first time ever TNA versus AEW between each other. We have Xia Li taking on Layla Gray. That's going to be a fun match. And then, of course, Wrestling Revolver for the Vibe Check taking place on the 9th of 2025. There's going to be a Daytona street fight. We have Masato Tanaka taking on Jake Christ. Now, also on January of 2025, we have on the 23rd, Saree's self-produced show, Sareee-ISM. Now we have Chapter 4. It looks like we got the full card. We have Sei versus Victoria Yuzuki. Kizuna Tanaka will be teaming with Jaguar Yakuda to take on Miku Kane and Yumiko Hora. Takumi Iroha versus Chi. Yurika Oka will be teaming with Karu Itu. They take on Bozilla and Miyu Momono. And then finally, the main event, Sareee versus Meiko Satomura. That's going to be interesting to watch. Now for our developments. Many of you may have heard on November 17th, we are today, of course, on the 18th of November. We're a day ahead. Well, sad news, Rey Mysterio's father passed away, and my condolences to Rey and his family. I have seen his father before many years ago when during a house show when SmackDown was here in San Diego. I was sitting in an area where Rey's family was right there. His parents were there, his daughter, and all that. Uh, but I never spoken to his dad. I have spoken to his mom like years after when he did a, a show down at the Sequam Casino, and I had a great time talking to her. But yeah, so my prayers and thoughts go to Rey Mysterio and the rest of his family, and hope Rey Mysterio can, find peace now. Hopefully, his father rested in peace as well, and peacefully. So yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Um, as you know, more names have been announced for the WWE ID. We have Jackson Drake and Aaron Rourke. So basically, these are two the names. Now, apparently, there's been talks about Josh Alexander recently about his retirement, but it seems that he is. There have been talks about that he probably will no longer be taking indie bookings or something like that. I'm not sure, so I'm trying to get more information on that. So we'll see what happens. But for now, we'll leave things as it is, and once I get that information on Josh Alexander, I'll put it out. But for now, we'll just say leave it like this and call it a day. Okay, so I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, I just recently found out that we have day one of New Japan Pro Wrestling's World Tag League. So this is the annual tournament. Now, this is not the junior heavyweight competition. This is more of the heavyweight competitors. And of course, the winners will take on the IWGP Tag Team Champions, currently being by Great Khan and Henare, I believe. So whoever walks out will get a shot of those titles. I believe that could happen at, of course, Wrestle King, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll see what happens. And then, of course, we have NXT. A lot of things is going to happen towards that as well. So we'll see how things will roll up. And if there's any other events that I'm going to review, I'll let you guys know. But we'll see how things will turn out. But for now, we'll leave things as it is. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah, and have a nice day. Bang.